All right, hello. Welcome to Fire Emblem Heroes video. In this video, I'm doing something a bit different. I got some flashcards here, written with my top 8 game changes. So changes that they can make to Fire Emblem Heroes that I think would make it better. So let's start here. My first change I think they should do is any 5-star. I think once a year, maybe twice a year, they should just let us pick any 5-star and add it to our barracks. I think this would be really nice for newer players or even returning players who just haven't had the luck, who haven't gotten the Emblem heroes, or are looking for another merge, or just a specific unit for their file. And maybe they could do this like twice a year, once at Christmas and once in the summer. But yeah, I think just giving away any 5-star would be nice, and I don't think it would be. I guess we get the one 5-star from the Community A Hero Rises voting gauntlet, but that's not really your choice. So I think there's over like 1,000 characters in this game, and maybe you want someone specific, but their banner's not rerunning for like 5 months. It's like a duo hero that you weren't able to pull, or whatever whatever it is. I think it'd be cool if they just gave us a 5-star. All right, next we've got unlimited orbs. So I don't mean like infinite orbs where you can just summon as much as you want forever, but I mean like you should be able to grind out orbs. There shouldn't be like a finite resource that you run out of, but then you can pay real life money to get. I think they should make a game mode that's challenging and can't be just used with like an auto clicker. I'll talk more about the game modes later in this video, but make some kind of game mode that rewards you with orbs, and maybe it takes like 2 hours and you get 20 orbs or 10 orbs an hour or something like that. Like, I think it's not going to affect people who want to spend money on the game, because are you really going to want to play the game for 10 hours to get 100 orbs? Or if you're working, if you have a lot of income or can afford it, like you're probably going to still buy orb packages. But I just think it'd be like a nice boost to the account for everyone, and it would give people a reason to play. And if the game was really fun, then yeah, it would just keep people engaged with the game, and orbs wouldn't be so precious, and we wouldn't be feeling bad when we don't. Because I think that the summoning is really fun, getting the random heroes, but it feels bad when you have a finite resource and you don't get the character you want. So I think just avoiding that bad feeling would be good for the game, because I don't think people would worry as much about power creep if they were able to pull for the characters. And honestly, like as a new account, I'm able to pull for all these really busted characters, and I think it's a fun game. Like, I don't mind the long skills reading. I don't mind like the paragraphs of text for the skills. I think there's a lot of really interesting characters and interesting interactions in this game. So I think it would be nice to have a game mode you can play all the time at any point, and you get rewarded with orbs. I just think that would be healthy for the game. But I don't understand their finances, and maybe that would totally wreak havoc on the money they're making with the orbs that they sell. So I don't know that aspect, but I just think from a personal perspective and from what I hear, it'd be good to have orbs you can play for. Next, no inheritance limit. I just think you should be able to inherit all the skills from one character to another. Like, you're already giving up the opportunity cost. Like, you're already giving up a character to fodder off their skills. Like, why not just be able to fodder off as many as you want? Like, maybe this could be abused with rearmed and attune heroes. I don't know, but just to be limited to only 5 of the skills is kind of annoying. Like, I think why not just be able to? Like, you still can't inherit exclusive weapons and skills, but yeah, like if you have 10 really good skills on that character, like with Attune Tamara, like you should be able to give Lagoose Friend 4, Breath of Life 4, and Speed Defense Finish 4, and the Times Pulse Echo without having to worry about foddering off other characters to get Breath of Life 3 and Speed Defense 3. And I just think it would simplify the game. And I mean, maybe some people enjoy the puzzle of having to fodder off the right characters and stuff to prep for like to get time spells 3, so you can get time spells 4, for example. So to prepare for that, like maybe it's a fun puzzle to solve, but I think it'd be healthy to just get rid of the inheritance limit. But yeah, I haven't thought about it a ton with rearmed and attuned. Maybe it could be abused. But yeah. Okay, the next one's kind of, I think I like this one, but it's also a bit maybe hard to explain. But version dependent sacred seals. So I think we have rearmed heroes that try to give life, revitalize old characters, but it has the opportunity cost. Again, I'm going to use that word a few times. You have to summon for the rearmed hero. And then after maybe spending 100 orbs, then you get your rearmed hero. You can give the weapon to the character, and then it becomes, and then you're good. But it can't be used with like exclusive skills. So some of the older characters can't really be use the rearmed weapons. And then, like the Gehenna Lance is really good, and the Gehenna Dagger I think are good, like are better because the Gehenna Lance you can just get in the Grail shop, and then you can build up a lance unit really easily. So I think that if they're gonna go that direction, that's cool. But I think another way they could go is creating sacred seals that scale depending on what version the character's from. So I've got this here. Hopefully this makes sense. So if you're like, for example, if you're from version 9, this seal will give you 4 speed and that's it. But if you're from version 6, it'll give you +4 to speed, attack, defense, and res. And then if you're from version 1, you get the flat DR. I don't know how much it'd be. You get a breath, like the +1 special cooldown acceleration, dodge, hexblade, +1 move, and +4 all stats. So it'd be like this really awesome seal that only works better on the older characters. So I don't know if this would be like a nightmare to program or anything, but I think if they could implement something like this, it would be like a really long seal. It'd be like paragraph of text explaining what the seal does. But I think you could have a lot of room for some cool game design here if you could. And then the seals have, if you could just buff up old characters without buffing up the newer characters with the same seal. And seals are good because they're kind of like the emblem rings, because you don't have to fodder them or anything. They just hang out. You just build them up with the coins and the badges, and then you're good to go. So yeah, I think a version dependent sacred seal would be really cool. And you could do stuff way more interesting than I've jotted down here. But something like that, where it just scales, where the older units get a much bigger buff from the seal. All right. Okay. Next, bosses. So I'm going to start getting into game modes. I was talking to a friend, and I was telling him I was playing this game, and he's like, "Oh, well, what kind of bosses have you fought?" And then I explained a whole bunch of stuff about the game, and then realized like there's no bosses in this game. There's like fighting Nir's Needhogger in Summoner Duels is kind of like a boss, but there's like, I think it'd be cool if they added a game mode where there was like kind of like Femortis from Sacred Stones, or those beasts from Three Houses, just like a big demon monster, and then you have to fight it with like your barracks, kind of like rival domains. So, and then your characters can die, and then you can bring in new ones as long as you don't get completely wiped. And then maybe the bosses would have, instead of just taking out 1 HP total, they'd have like 5 different, or if they took up 4 squares, they'd have 4 HP totals. Like for like their head, like if it's a Hydra or something, you have to like take out 4 different heads, or take off like, if you could do some cool monster design. But basically I just think they should have a game mode in Arena that is like bosses, and you go in and you have like 8 heroes, and then they're trying to take it out in like 3 turns or something. And then the bosses would have a bunch of weird effects. But yeah, but something to do with bosses for a game mode, I think would be really cool. Next, maybe like the other game mode they could do is like a survival dungeon. So kind of like a game within the game where you go into this dungeon, and then you have to recruit heroes and then give them skills, inherit them skills. This would maybe be the game mode that you can get rewarded with orbs, but you could do this through like the Arena tab again, and just have like this dungeon kind of like go through maps and recruit other characters, kind of like in the old school Fire Emblem Heroes. And then also, if your character dies, they're gone. So you wouldn't bring in your regular characters from your barracks. You'd get it'd be kind of like Hall of Forms or something, where you get skills as you progress, and you get random characters that can like kind of like the is it Binding Worlds? Yeah, So just some kind of like roguelike dungeon crawler that lets you inherit skills around, and then if your character dies, they get wiped out, and then if you can get to the end of the dungeon without all your characters dying, then you get or if you get to the end of the dungeon, then you get some orbs or something like that. And I think this would be like a really fun like single player mode that doesn't rely on other like playing against other people in any capacity. Or you could even do this like a co-op mode. Same with the bosses. You could do. I was thinking the bosses would be more like the co-op mode, and then the survival dungeon would be more like a single player, player versus enemy. Yeah, and the next practice mode, I really think that they should just make a practice mode in the training tower where you can just go in and pick a map, and then pick a team of whatever size, like maybe 4v4, and you control all 4 characters on both sides. You pick all 4 units on both sides. You can pick all their skills, customize all their skills, and place them, and then control their movements. Like there's no AI. It's just you moving both teams, just to simply try out the skills. And obviously, none of these characters would go to your barracks. It'd just be like a mode to go, because right now we're kind of reliant on testing in Aether raids, but you have to have the unit in your barracks, or you have to have a friend mock battle who has the units. I think this would be much more interesting if you could like pick and choose like how many dragon flowers they have, if they have a resplendent, just all of that. You can just completely customize the characters that you're bringing into the map and that you're fighting against, and then you control both teams. It's just a solitary mode, and you can just test stuff out. I think that'd be really fun, and just help you understand what you want to summon for, and understand what beats what. And yeah, maybe that would take away some of the mystery and the fun of just kind of exploring the game. But I think a practice mode would be really cool. I know I would use it, but maybe they don't want to implement something like that. Lastly, just co-op gameplay. I think they really need a game mode where you can team up with someone on your friends list and just clear content. So maybe it's like some bosses, maybe it's just some really tough maps, maybe it's like a survival dungeon. Whatever the thing is, like I think it'd be super cool to like in real time play with a friend and clear some maps and get some rewards. So co-op gameplay, I think that's the top thing for me, along with maybe the version dependent sacred seals. I think would be really cool to revitalize old characters. But yeah, so these are my thoughts for some changes that Fire Emblem Heroes could make. Hopefully that was interesting. If you guys have any thoughts about what you think they should change, let me know. And yeah, I guess that's the video. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good one.